Howdy again, y'alls. It's me, Dr. Edwards, here to give you a complete step-by-step walkthrough for Milestone 2. And this is using my Milestone 2 checklist outline. So I suggest you look at that while you watch my video. All right. If you can set your screen up to, have the video going and actually be able to see the Milestone 2 checklist outline, that'd be great. Because my goal here is to, as I said, walk through this entire document. And along with that, I'm going to be sharing my insights, my tips, particular strategies for each and everything. All right. Now, don't even watch this video until you've watched my first video, my overview for the module, all right, and read all of my support materials, okay? Because I am preparing this with the understanding that you've done that before watching this, because I try to explain some things before you watch this video, such as what theory is, the very specific sources I have there about theory. If you got a human environmental problem, I definitely suggest using a combination of cultural ecology and political ecology. You couldn't ask for better to analyze any human environmental problem. I have other suggestions for strictly social problems, like, using a critical Marxist perspective or criminal feminist theory. Oh, so many. And if you need help finding theory, just give me a call. All right, I can help you. I am a theorist. Right? Yeah, but also to be clear, no one is trying to break you here. We're looking for a basic understanding and application of anthropological theory to analyze your problem. No one is asking you to write a master's thesis, a doctoral dissertation, or anything like that. But there are some very specific things that we need to have included. All right. And that'll all be revealed here as I go through the Milestone 2 checklist outline. Actually, that's a good place to start. There are two basic parts to this document: your application of theory, all right, and another name for that is called analysis. Excuse me, horrible allergies today. Yeah, all right. So the other part of Milestone 2 is your literature review, but this is unlike any lit review you've done before. This is a very focused, specialized lit review, and I include a very detailed note in purple to draw your attention to that in the written portion of my announcement. So let me jump back to theory real quick. Theory is a lens, a perspective that you're going to use to look at your problem, all right, generally speaking. The lit review is all about solving your problem, all right? It is searching for the lit to solve your problem, but you can only do that after you've actually analyzed your problem. You can't, yeah. And so where a lot of students tend to go sideways here is their literature review isn't actually focused on solving their problem. Rather, what students often do is simply review lit that they used in Milestone 1. And I'm here to tell you, don't. All right. That will result in you having to revise your entire lit review. So yeah, please hear me loud and clear here. This lit review is different. It's not a general lit review. It is a very focused, specific lit review, all about finding literature about solving your problem. No more background information, no more analysis, none of that. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of my preamble. Two basic parts: application of theory, i.e. analysis, and a very focused, specialized literature review that's just about solving your problem. And heads up, you need that because you're going to be applying all that in Milestone 3, where you actually present your recommendations, your projected success, i.e. evidence, about how you're going to solve your problem. All right, so you can think of this lit review as actually being, like 90% of the legwork for Milestone 3 itself. You are getting your ducks lined up here by taking the time to do this focused specialized lit review. Okay. Uh, yeah. And also let me explain here. We start with theory for a very good reason. This is how you understand the how and the why of your problem. And it should be clear that only after you understand that can you actually begin to try to solve your problem. Okay, this is also why you'll see for me in feedback on milestone 1, if you're focused on solutions or trying to explain the why, the how or the why of your problem in milestone 1, that's not where it goes. Okay, and we only do that through applying theory to interrogate, to analyze our problem. And only by doing that do we actually get to be able to explain the how and the why of it. All right, which then informs the type of lit that we search for in the lit review portion of milestone 2, all about solving the problem itself. Okay, enough preamble. Let me dive in. So first part, all about application of theory, aka your analysis. And so what you need to do is go check out those theory resources. And if you got a human environmental problem, guess what? I've already tried to do that job for you. Just use cultural ecology and political ecology. Side note, no anthropologist uses a single theory. It just doesn't work like that. Uh, you know, we're a holistic discipline. We look at things from multiple perspectives and angles, all right, to better understand it. And so that's why no anthropologist uses a single theory. Rather, in the real world, we use elaborate combinations of little pieces of all sorts of different theory and construct them in a unique way to be able to see particular things. All right. No one's asking that of you, though. I'm just explaining that's what we do in the real world. All right. If you go read a real anthro, journal article, all right, and one that's like, uh, sharing research, right? They're gonna include all that in there, right? They'll have a whole section about their theoretical framework, and you'll see them drawing on bits and pieces of all sorts of different theories and putting them together to create what is called a theoretical perspective or a theoretical framework, which is unique to that scholar for that particular piece of research. You're kind of paralleling that. You're just going to pick two theories, right? And you will apply them at a basic level to analyze your problem. Okay, but it all starts with picking the right sort of theory. That is essential. It's not like you can use structuralism to understand, I don't know, health disparities. All right. It's not really aligned for that. Rather, structuralism would be really useful for understanding all the various components and how they're organized within a culture itself. Not really relevant to health disparities. Okay. So I'm trying to give you a good example here that your theory and your problem have to align. They have to be a good fit. And so, yeah, as I said, if you have issues trying to find theory or figuring out which one best suits your problem, just give me a call. I can help you out. Yeah, word of caution, don't even play with debunked or dated theories like evolutionism. Been debunked. Okay, that means disproven. We do not use evolutionism anymore. It's inherently flawed, contributes to all sorts of problems. Not going to go off on this now. Equally so, another example, historical particularism. It's always a tongue twister for me. It's no longer a theory. It is one of our most fundamental concepts, known as cultural relativism. Thanks, Franz Boas, father of American anthropology. Right? We literally get to thank him for that. Side note on that, that was actually the theory he put forth to counter racial theory as explaining the difference between different groups of people. All right. Race theory said, it's because of the color of their skin. No. No. Franz Boas said, no. The differences that we see between different groups of people are a reflection of their unique particular histories in those particular places. All right. Anyway, enough theory history. So once you find your two theories, we're now ready to start writing. And you start by outlining your theories, in a couple of paragraphs. You want to outline them, who came up with them, what they're for, what their value is, right? And you can do that all in one robust paragraph, and then a second paragraph where you then explain how they fit together in a complementary way, and how through that complementary perspective, they offer a better view, a better insight. Okay. And that should be like a paragraph. And boom, you have your unique theoretical perspective for your analysis. Right? But to be clear, that is not actually applying theory yet. That's just outlining your theory to educate or inform your reader of what theory you will be applying and why. Yeah. After you've outlined your theories and explained why they work well together to give you a better perspective, now we're actually ready to start applying them to your problem to analyze it. Yeah. And there's lots of different ways to kind of try to explain this. I think in a previous video, I shared an analogy about, thinking about a microscope and the different lenses on a microscope. Those lenses you could analogize to theory, all right? Each one is going to give you a different view onto your thing, okay? Some are going to be really broad level, macro, versus very micro, super magnified. And as I say, different theories for different things. Okay. But I'm trying to give you good insight about what actually applying theory means and how to go about it. All right. So you could equally think of a formula. Your theory is essentially a formula for how to look at your thing. So to apply it, you literally lay it out through your theoretical framework. All right. Through that unique theory. All right. What every theory has its particular what it's going to highlight, all right? So like cultural ecology, it's one of the ones I've highlighted. Okay, this is all about understanding the human environmental relationships in your place. All right, for your people. What do those things mean to them? Okay, and so that's literally how you would apply the theory of cultural ecology to your problem for your place and your people, all right? You would outline what those things are and what they mean to them, all right? That's explaining the why it's significant, all right? But that doesn't really help explain the problem. Rather, to explain the problem, we then apply political ecology. That's all about understanding how the choices and decisions that are made regarding X, your thing, have consequences. That's about understanding the why of your problem itself. And, given political ecology's focus on the negotiation of power, who has access to what, that would highlight disparities. And also with that, because you're essentially going to be taking all those impacts from milestone 1 and picking those apart here through your theory. All right. What were the choices and decisions made regarding your problem? All right. If you got a human environmental problem, which lots of you do. So that's what I'm focusing on here. Equally so, if it's a strictly social problem, you say you're applying critical Marxist theory here, you would go back to those social impacts that you outlined in milestone 1, and that is what you're focused on explaining the why of here through your theory. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, okay, moving on here. And to be clear, your actual analysis should be, I don't know, a solid page. I'm not talking about introing your theories. I'm talking about the actual analysis itself. Like, you want substance, okay? And you really want to be focusing on identifying the inherent issues of your problem, the little things that actually make your problem the problem that it is. Because it is only by being able to identify those particular inherent issues that you then know how to solve your problem, which gets us to your literature review. All right, so be super clear here. Your analysis informs your lit review, which informs how you solve your problem in milestone 3. You got to make these connections so you can see them. Yeah, so I think I have a line in here somewhere about problems are like noses, and you can replace nose with any other body part. Be creative, have fun with it. Make yourself laugh. Problems are like noses, everyone has one. And so to solve your problem, best strategy is to look to see how other people have dealt with your problem in other places. All right, because going back to problems are like noses, everyone's got one. Well, guess what? Your problem is not unique. Other people in other places have experienced it, and some of them have worked towards solving it. So that's where you look to solve your problem. And yeah, because clearly your problem in your place has not been solved. So trying to find how people have solved it in your place isn't going to work. It hasn't been done. That's why we look elsewhere to gain insight from other people's experiences in resolving the same sort of problem. All right, the very specific problem still might be a little different. All right, but say if you're dealing with disparity issues, inequality issues, things like that, those are fairly universal. Right, and you can see those in all sorts of problems all over the world. And your job as the scholar researcher is to make those connections. Some more key insight here. All your sources need to be, for your literature review, need to be scholarly sources. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Okay, if they are not from a peer-reviewed source, in some form or capacity, like it could be a professional report, a technical report by a professional organization, NGO, something like that, that would satisfy a scholarly standard, but no news articles, no nothing like that. Okay, and you're actually looking for two types of sources when you're doing your literature review. Sources that offer insights into actually solving your problem, and those are essential for you being able to make your recommendations, or short version of that, recs, come milestone 3, because that's the goal of milestone 3, to solve your problem. All right, and so you're as I said, you're getting your ducks lined up here. All right, that's what this lit review is all about. You're going to be applying all of this in milestone 3, but you can't apply it until you've actually found it and reviewed it. Okay, so yeah, you're looking for sources that offer insights to solving your problem, and you're looking for sources that actually provide evidence that those ideas work. All right, now, some sources may have both of those aspects. They may offer insights that you can use to make recommendations to solve your problem, and they might also provide evidence at the same time, but it's no guarantee. Okay, like no one can say that any given source on any particular problem is going to include both of those aspects, right? That's your job as the researcher. You got to find both. Maybe you might find both in in a source, but as I say, it's no guarantee. That's why I'm taking time to point out you're really looking for two different types of sources, right? Sources that offer insights that you'll be used to make recommendations in milestone 3, and sources that provide actual evidence that those recommendations are effective. And those are for another key piece of milestone 3, your projected success section, i.e. evidence. All right. those are the sources you're going to need to use to support that your recommendations will have the desired, effects. Okay. So yeah, searching for lit is as much an art as it is a science. All right. I encourage you to use Shapiro, Google Scholar, and general Google Scholar. I mean, not general Google Scholar, just general Google searches can also be helpful. However, you cannot accept anything that you find just via general Google searches as valid. Okay. Anybody can post anything they want on the internet. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to check those things with a fine-tooth comb. They can be helpful. Those general Google searches can be helpful to see what's out there, but then you then get your results list from that general Google search. Then you take those specific things and search for them again in Google Scholar and Shapiro. Okay, that actually might help get you through paywalls, right? Only if you use Shapiro, right? Because we have subscription services with all sorts of databases, journals, yada yada. So the strategy is search for them, Google Scholar. You'll most likely have to pay access for such sources that way, but then search again for them through Shapiro, and chances are you will be given access to them without having to pay. All right. Yeah. Another pro tip here, in the sidebar in Shapiro, Google Scholar, virtually any lit search engine, there will be a sidebar in which there are what we refer to as limiting factors. And these are specific things that you can select to limit the results that you receive from your search. Yeah, how to put it? There's one in there, and it depends on which system you're using, but it's either called scholarly or peer-reviewed. Select that, and presto, all your search results are limited to scholarly sources, peer-reviewed sources. All right. I mean, makes our job easy. Yeah, pay attention to the key terms used for any source, right? Read the abstract, read the library entry, right? Because the key terms will be listed, right? Pay attention to those because you want to leverage those in searching for more lit. You can also make sure to check the references of any source that appears to be of value, all right? Follow the breadcrumbs. That is what being a researcher is all about. Let's see here. Yeah, I say in here, like, take time to sort through your lit. Like each time you run a search, right, you make sure to note down the key terms that you used in the order you use them. Save everything, bookmark everything. Yeah, because the last thing you want to do is be like, oh, where did I find that thing again? Yeah. Like in Shapiro, you can like save your search result history. And so you can always go back to it. You can even email it to yourself, right? They're good things to do so you don't lose track of things. Yeah. So pay close attention to the keywords being used. Be creative, be experimental in, using unique combinations of those key terms to try to find more lit. Yeah. Let's see here. All right, on to how to write your lit review. Two basic strategies here, what we call a bibliographic lit review, which is, or as I call it in here, an APA style reference. And it's tried and true, okay? And so it can be very effective. Essentially, each one is its own separate thing. Like it's one review after the another, and you just start it with the full APA reference of the source. And then in a paragraph under it, you write your review. Boom, on to the next source. APA citation of it, not citation reference, full APA reference. And then in a paragraph under that, your actual review of the source. And just rinse and repeat. Or the other writing strategy here is a narrative approach where you are literally actively writing the experience, if you would, all right? So, and I have an example here. I use my own. All right. So like you can see the APA example there. Edwards, Ian, 2012, The Social Life of Wild Things, Negotiated Wildlife in Mali, West Africa, doctoral dissertation, Department of Anthropology, University of Oregon. And then under that, I would actually have my full review of that source. All right. Or conversely, using a narrative approach, Edwards 2012 describes in detail the sociocultural relationships surrounding 493 species of vertebrate fauna in his dissertation, The Social Life of Wild Things, Negotiated Wildlife in Mali, West Africa. Either strategy says the same thing. They're just different writing strategies and both get the same job done. Okay, so your call doesn't make a difference to me. It literally comes down to your writing style and what suits your wants and needs. Okay, as I say, either approach gets the job done. All right. I will say the APA reference approach is probably, I don't know, might speak to you all as being the most direct approach here. But I encourage folks to practice their writing at the same time. Like, it's a challenge to write a narrative style literature review. Okay. But again, we got time pressure and all that. So pick what serves your interest best. It doesn't make a difference from my perspective. Okay. So for the actual review of any given source, you kind of want to start with a summary of it. What is the source about? And if it's a scholarly source from a peer-reviewed source, you don't have to take time to explain that because it's clear as day in the AP reference itself. Okay, like it identifies the journal it's from, all right? And if it was published in a journal, it is by definition scholarly and peer-reviewed. Yeah, but say like my dissertation here, that's not in a scholarly journal. That's just an academic book. Okay, and so for that, you'd actually have to take a couple of lines and assess its scholarliness. And by that you would like assess the credentials of the author themselves. This was a doctoral candidate, all right, from a tier 1 research institution, yada yada. That's doing due diligence, being a researcher. But if it's clearly from a scholarly journal, you don't have to worry about that. Rather, you just give a summary of what the source is about, all right? Then shift over to assessing its strengths and weaknesses, all right? Because that's important for understanding, is this actually going to be a value? All right, and so that would actually, clearly, if there are any major weaknesses, you point those out. But in terms of the strengths, those should be very specifically focused on solving your problem. All right, it should be clear. All right, that better be a strength. Otherwise, why are you looking at the source? Right? And you outline that. But how to say this? Don't let the cat out of the bag yet. All right, you're not making your recommendations here. Rather, you're just assessing the source. You will be applying it in milestone 3. So don't let the cat out of the bag yet, all right, about exactly what your recommendation is going to be. Rather, you outline particular things from the source that will be of value for making your recommendation in milestone 3. And then you end your review with a very specific statement line about the utility of the source itself, okay? Such as, and there are only 3 options, all right? And it's about how you're going to use the source, all right? Are you going to be using it to make recommendations? Are you going to be using it for projected success, i.e. evidence? Or might it be a combination of those? Those are the only 3 options. All right. And you don't literally say, I will be using this to make recommendations. No, rather you say something more like, oh, I don't know. Insights from this source will be influential in outlining recommendations to mitigate the particular issues of X, Y, and Z. Right. And those would be the inherent issues you identified from your analysis. Yeah, oof, that was an awful lot. But also why I make a video, so you can pause, go back, re-listen. Okay, and of course, oh, my magic phone, it's disappearing into my virtual background. Yes, got any questions? Don't hesitate. Just pick up the phone, call me. Guarantee you the best way to go about it. You're going to get instant feedback. I'm going to help you overcome whatever obstacle you're facing right then and there. And guess what? You're back on track. Yeah. Again, check out the sample white papers that I got. They're the same ones as before. I post them a bunch, so they're always readily available. You don't have to go back looking through everything. And I would definitely encourage you to focus on the middle section, Milestone 2, which includes application of theory section and literature review. Look at how students have done it. Look at their approach. Look at the particular things included. Of course, the problem's unique to that student. That's not important, right? Rather, the steps they went through to produce what they did, that's what you focus on. All right, I will leave this at that. And yeah, I gotta say, I've really been thrilled with some of the ideas I saw thrown around in our first discussion. Lots of you have been emailing me, fleshing out your ideas. Way to go. Yeah, so don't stop, keep it coming. I work on a first come, first served basis. So whoever's next in my queue, they get reviewed first. uh, um, yeah, anyway, I hope you all have a great one. I'll catch you on the flip side. Take care. Bye.